The moment I saw his secret plan, my blood ran cold. He thought he had me cornered. He had no idea I was about to set his whole world on fire. This wasn't just about a job anymore. This was about survival. I'm Alina Vance. I was 27 years old, working in Sterling Heights, Michigan, or at least that's where my heart felt like it was, even though my body was in South America. My marketing coordinator role was supposed to be a stepping stone. Instead, it became a cage. My boss, a man in his 40s named Marco, had been with the company only a month longer than me. He was smooth on the surface, all charm and fake camaraderie, but something about him always felt off. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, he moved with an oily confidence that screamed manipulation. From day one, he used this faux friendliness to push boundaries. He'd say things like, "Hey, Alina, you're so good at this, could you just quickly whip up a strategy for Q3?" What started as quickly whip up turned into me handling the entire marketing strategy, the planning, the campaign ideas, coordinating with every other department, managing events, and even the budget. He was the marketing manager's best friend from childhood, parachuted into a position he was wildly unqualified for. He had spent years doing freelance web design on beaches. He had zero experience leading a team, and it showed, but that was just the beginning. He quickly realized I was good at my job, better than him if I'm being honest, and instead of learning, he just started delegating everything. He'd sit back, let me do the heavy lifting, and then present my results as his own. My responsibilities snowballed every single month. Tasks that were clearly his or even my subordinates kept landing on my desk. My subordinate, a man also older than me, seemed to be part of their little boys' club. It was three men against one woman, and I was constantly feeling the weight of it. Something felt very wrong. I was always on edge, like the ground was shifting beneath my feet. This wasn't just a tough job, it was a hostile environment meticulously crafted. When campaigns soared, Marco took all the glory. When a project hit a snag, suddenly it was my problem, my fault, my responsibility to fix. I thought that was the worst part. I was wrong. The manipulation was so subtle, so insidious. They were polite to everyone else in the office, always smiling, always laughing with the guys. No one else saw what I was enduring. People would look at them and see good, decent men. How could I explain that Marco would approve a crucial decision verbally, then later, when it suited him, deny it ever happened, so they could yell at me for not having written proof? It chipped away at my sanity, making me doubt my own memory, my own judgment. But then August came and things escalated dramatically. The argument wasn't even about work. Marco had been sending me condescending WhatsApp messages, little snide comments, often hinting at my gender being a weakness. Things like, "I know you are a woman, so this may be harder for you to understand." Normally, he'd save those remarks for in person where there was no evidence. But this time it was in writing, a mistake on his part. My stomach dropped when I read it. A cold fury started to simmer. I replied professionally, calmly, telling him we needed to maintain respect and professionalism. I told him to ask for things normally and I would do my job as I always had. There was no reason for that tone, he exploded. He waited until the office was mostly empty, then cornered me in a conference room with glass walls, but far enough away that no one could hear. He started yelling, insulting me, even bringing up my personal life. He saw my composure as a challenge. I stayed calm, my words measured, but inside a quiet rage was building. I replied with a slight condescension, a subtle mockery that only he would understand. It was barely perceptible, but it hit him. In that moment, that tiny shift changed everything. He stopped trying to be fake friendly. He went for outright psychological warfare. During September, he made my life a living hell. He piled on more and more work, demanded impossible deadlines, nitpicked every detail, criticized everything I did, and completely disregarded my personal schedule. My blood ran cold when I finally understood. He wanted me to quit. He was systematically trying to break me, to make me so miserable I'd resign, but I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. In this country, if they fire you without a valid reason, you get your severance and benefits. If you quit, you lose everything, and if they fire you with a reason, they also don't pay. He wanted me to quit so the company wouldn't have to pay a single penny. I had already decided I would leave on my own terms after a full year in November, just to have that complete year on my resume. I was just holding on. I was in real danger. Then in October, during the last 2 weeks, something happened that turned the whole game on its head. We used Figma for our marketing projects with shared workspaces. One day I opened one of Marco's project pages to grab some information, and there it was, staring back at me. A recently written plan for reorganizing the entire marketing department for the next year. My role was gone, completely erased. The work I had been doing for the last year was divided into 4 new positions. And the audiovisual employee who technically reported to me was elevated to a higher, nonsensical position in this new structure. It was clear proof. Concrete, undeniable, every gut feeling, every quiet suspicion I had nurtured for a year suddenly made terrifying, undeniable sense. They had been trying to get rid of me all along, my heart hammered against my ribs. I felt a surge of fear mixed with a chilling, determined calm. I immediately took screenshots, multiple ones, making sure the date and time were clearly visible, and I didn't know it yet, but it was already too late for them. That same week, I noticed another crucial detail. They were actively trying to build a case against me, not just trying to make me miserable anymore, but fabricating reasons to fire me with cause. They needed a paper trail, a manufactured excuse to avoid paying me my benefits. That Friday, I left work a little earlier with Marco's verbal permission, or so I thought. That evening, my phone buzzed. Marco, multiple WhatsApp messages asking why I had left early, claiming he never approved it, feigning ignorance. It was a setup, a pathetic, transparent setup. He was trying to create a written record against me, but he didn't know I had a record of my own, a secret weapon he knew nothing about. My partner, a lawyer, confirmed it. Legally, his fabricated excuses were meaningless. Leaving early one day with verbal permission, even if he denied it later, wasn't a valid reason to terminate my employment without benefits. Their ignorance was my advantage. The next week, I became a quiet, relentless hunter. I documented everything, every rude message, every condescending remark, every instance of manipulation. Screenshots, emails, timelines. I gathered evidence of the preferential treatment my male subordinate received despite me being his superior. I compiled undeniable proof that I was the one running the marketing department, not Marco. I was building my case, brick by painstaking brick. Every piece of evidence was a nail in their coffin. During that week, a brave HR employee, tired of their blatant misogyny, discreetly reached out. She warned me. She told me about the lies they were preparing. She confirmed that on Friday afternoon, they planned to present signed letters, falsely detailing my supposed incompetence, along with Marco's fake WhatsApp screenshots from last Friday. They were going to fire me, sending a memo to the entire company, destroying my reputation on their way out. The best part, watching them move through the office with their smug smiles, exchanging nasty glances my way, oblivious. Convinced they were so smart, so smooth, 3 men against 1 woman. They truly believed they had me trapped. They had no idea I already held the keys to their prison. They had no idea I knew everything. So on Friday morning, while they were busy polishing their fabricated lies, I walked straight past their office, my heart a quiet drum, and went directly to the owner's office. His secretary, surprised, let me in immediately. He was a busy man, but he looked up, a polite curiosity on his face. I didn't waste a second. I put my phone and my meticulously organized folder on his desk. "Sir," I said, my voice steady, "I need you to see something." His polite curiosity slowly, agonizingly morphed into shock, then into a deep, burning shame. I showed him the Figma plan, my role completely erased, replaced by 4 new positions, my subordinate suddenly above me. I showed him the documented timeline of Marco's abuse, the WhatsApp messages, the fake approvals, the fabricated excuses. The cold, hard proof of their conspiracy. My internal thoughts, my fear, my anger, all poured out through the irrefutable evidence. He had no words. He looked like he'd been punched in the gut. He was horrified by what had been happening in his company right under his nose. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a desperate apology. He asked me what I wanted to do. At that point, I was exhausted, drained, living in pure survival mode for months. I just wanted out. I told him I couldn't work there anymore, that the trust was shattered beyond repair. But I wanted my benefits, every single one, and I wanted a letter of recommendation for the year I had actually spent running his marketing department. He didn't hesitate. He promised everything. Told me to go to HR to sign the papers, assuring me all my demands would be met. While I was on another floor, signing my release papers, I started getting whispers from colleagues. The owner, a man known for his calm demeanor, had apparently called Marco, the marketing manager, and the audiovisual employee into his office. He had yelled, not a quiet executive scolding, a full-blown, booming, furious yell. People in the office could hear it. The offices had glass walls, and my colleagues watched in stunned silence as the 3 men were publicly humiliated, their faces red, their shoulders slumped. They walked back to their office space, heads down, avoiding eye contact with anyone. Their swagger was gone, the alpha posturing completely deflated, the power had shifted. Dramatically, when I finally went back to pick up my personal things, it was lunchtime. Usually they'd all go out together, laughing, joking, acting like the kings of the office. But not that day, not then. They sat in their office, staring at their screens, avoiding eye contact as I said my goodbyes to my colleagues. They waited. They actually waited for me to gather everything, to shake hands, to walk out the door, which took a good hour before they finally left for lunch. They couldn't face me, not after their epic failure, not after their entire plot was exposed. For me, it was incredibly satisfying to see them so utterly humiliated, unable to meet my gaze after a year of systematic mistreatment. After 2 months of relentless pressure, convinced they were untouchable because of their positions, because they were the owner's friends, Because they were men, they had crumbled, they couldn't fire me the way they wanted. They couldn't control the narrative. Instead, I left on my own terms with full benefits, with a letter of recommendation, and with every single person in the company knowing exactly what kind of men they were, and the best part? That Figma file. The one he never bothered to protect with a password, the one he left wide open for anyone to see. The very tool he used to plot my downfall became the weapon of his undoing. He thought he was so smart, so careful, but he left the blueprint for his own destruction right where I could find it. He never knew how I learned of his plan, and he never will.